You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 10th, 2023 meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
This is the regularly, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission, February 10th, 2023, not 22, as it says on the notes here. Call the meeting to order at 1:05. We're late. It's never happened before. Very well here. Bob LeMay. Bob is here by Zoom. John Coker. Here. Ken Klausner. Here. Joy Schmidt. Here. Peter Bibles. Joe Jogman. Present. Lou Mellon. Here. Chris, because Bob is on.
Because he's on Zoom.
Do we have to?
Everything is by roll.
Okay.
Did Bob vote? I forgot what I said.
Yeah, he can vote.
He's visible to the public, he can vote.
Well, he looks good.
Okay, first up is the approval of the January minutes. Everybody get a chance to read those. Any additions or corrections to? Joe?
I cannot, I will not vote on these because I wasn't here. But the only comment I do have is in line number 10, where it talks about the 2610 or the trailer. And it says solar panel install permit fee was paid, no. Contractor was registered, no. And because to this day, it hasn't been paid, and I don't know about the registrations, but and the only reason that I do know that is when I go to my system and I don't approve anything until I get the permit.
Okay.
And he has paid.
All right, we're gonna
knock that out.
all right, we're gonna note that, and it's on the agenda for today anyway. Any other additions or corrections to the meeting or to the notes? Joy?
It's not a correction of the minutes, but I just wanted to know that in today's agenda, 10 and 11, we show that being permitted. On this page here, on the new building, 3,100 acre drive, 2,700 floral trail. Setting comments that permits were approved, but they were on the agenda.
Actually, the number 14 on the minutes is incorrect. That permit was not approved. So we'll make that note.
Larry, can I give a comment?
Yeah, but I'm gonna ask everybody, you have to wait until you're recognized to talk, because people on Zoom cannot hear anything if anybody talks during the meeting and it's not individual. And can we close the door too? Thanks. So 3,100 Lakeshore Drive, Joy, as you noted, that was not approved, so we'll have to correct that. And what was the other one, Joy?
2,700 floral. It was the egress window on the whole. Our minutes say it was approved by the county agenda.
It's on the agenda because there's questions about whether or not.
Right, that permit actually, Joy, was approved, but we had some questions about work, and Lou has some comments to make today. Okay, Joe?
All right, if you want to talk about that one first, that one was approved because it was two parts. And the egress was the second part. And the first part of that permit. And that permit was approved. I can dig it out and tell you.
Right, it was approved. The question is whether or not they're doing anything in the lower level.
It's 23-1-3. And then Joy, you had mentioned the other one, 2028 on 11. That was approved, 23-1-3. 1-5. That's one we're looking at.
3100.
Yeah, 31 is second. I agree with 3100, 2024, the approved part of it.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna, we'll have those corrected. Any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Being none, a motion to accept is corrected. Pete, 5 votes, second.
I'll second.
Joy. We're gonna have to do this slowly because Honor's gonna have to, she's not here, so she's gonna have to transcribe these. Larry, yes. Bob Lemay?
So you want to approve the minutes with the corrections that you've already made, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'll approve them with the amendments.
John Coker?
Yes.
Ken Flossner?
Yes.
Joy Schmidt?
Yes.
Peter Byvold?
Yeah.
Joe Jackman?
President, because I get to do that meeting, so I can't do it.
All right, next up is the Commissioner's Report. We had 11 permits in January with construction costs of $607,516. That generated fees of $6,332. We received 145 calls on permits and/or information requests. Lou, do you have your site visits? And
61 better than this, 13 better.
That's it for the Commissioner's report. Any questions or comments on that report? Being none, we'll move on to old business. The beach stairs. We just need to set a meeting date. And I noticed in the minutes that it said that Chris and I would set that date. So I have to apologize. I did nothing about setting the date. So I don't know, Chris, if we want to do that now, or should we just set a date and send it out?
If you're talking about the entire commission, right, then that's where you're gonna consider each of them, you're gonna need to have a special meeting on. Whatever much follow you.
Okay. I am going to be gone from December to December.
You're gonna be done in March.
I'm going to be gone February 26th through the first 2 weeks in March. So we're either going to have to do it next week or after the 14th of March, or 12th, I think it is. How about if everybody would get back to me by Monday afternoon, that you can look at your calendars and find out if anything, the week of 13th through the 17th works, or.
Let's just do it now.
Okay, I'm fine.
They get back to you Monday, the best you could do is the 16th or 17th.
All right, how about the 15th of next week? Is everybody open?
Well, we're gonna have notice issues.
The town council has an exec session on the 15th.
How about the 16th?
I'll still be in Winter Park. I can make the following week. Ash Wednesday works really well for me.
On the 22nd.
The 22nd?
Yep.
Can you guys make the 22nd? Can everybody make that?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think.
All right, how about we do it at the on the 22nd at 1 o'clock?
Just need to get a notice posted with a special meeting.
Okay,
Chris, do you want me to do anything? I'll put it on Zoom. Can you take care of the posting, Chris?
If you want me to, sure.
Let's do that then.
all right, 1 p.m. on Wednesday, the 22nd. Takes care of that. Next up is the MS4 requirements. This is an ongoing situation. I got a copy of a draft ordinance, which I will send to, I met with Reggie yesterday, and I got a copy of a draft ordinance. I will send that to Chris. And then I'm assuming that you look at it and send it to the APC, right, Chris?
Depending on where it goes, in the code, it may or may not involve it, if we see it, like, it will be out, it will be liquidated.
There's an inspector training, which I am registered for March 20th and the 21st. Anybody is welcome to do that training. It's $747, I think.
Joe around there.
Oh, okay, Joe.
If it's not too much trouble, Chris and Larry, I'd like to get a copy of the draft. So I can at least get myself up to date.
Yeah, this is not the Long Beach draft. This is an ordinance that is going to have to be tuned to Long Beach, but I can certainly send you a copy of it.
Thank you.
Anybody else want a copy of it?
I do.
Pete? All right.
Yeah, you can send me one also.
Okay, next up is coastal resiliency groups. There hasn't been much going on with that, but all of a sudden there was a flurry of activity this last week. I heard from Jennifer, Pete, I know that you've talked to her, and she has now got Reggie hooked up into that group. And they are looking for participation. That's about as much as I can say. I'm willing to participate. Pete said he was. My brother John said that he would do it. And Lou, I know you expressed interest. That they wanted 4 people, and that's what I provided to them. We have provided our assessment, and we'll just see where it goes. There's really nothing else for us to do until they tell us what they can do.
Now, I have not talked to Jennifer recently, so am I going to get some communications to when this discussion will go?
I spoke to her last Thursday, and then I talked to Reggie twice, once in our meeting yesterday, and then once on Monday or Tuesday. I forgot what day it was. There's nothing for us to do right now. She's just looking to get everybody. I think they're having a problem getting people to respond like we did, because you were on top of it. No, actually you weren't. So I don't really know, Pete. I don't have any answer.
Did they send you some materials or anything there?
It's the same material that we had before, that we've already filled out.
And now, this is the group with the mayors? Because there's 2 groups that are out there. From the local mayors and council we have on the session. Headed up by the mayor of the area or something like that. Did we heard anything more from them?
Hold on, and I'll look and see what the email said that she sent to me. Say, well, why don't we come back to this rather than make everybody wait? I'll come back to this at the end of the meeting, and I'll tell you which one group this is.
Now, so Kim is for and Jennifer's group. Just to remind everybody, and I saw Jennifer's group was a company that is working with the funding organizations.
Jennifer's with the Regional Planning Commission. She's working with the Coastal Resiliency Group. They have nothing to do with MS4, but they have asked Reggie, who is the MS4, our contractual person from the town of Long Beach, on the MS4 information and our requirements. They have asked her to sit in on this group.
Okay.
Anything else on, any other questions on that? Next up is the building department software. We sent out to everybody, to give just a quick rundown of what happened. We met with, by Zoom, 4 individual software companies. From those 4, we whittled it down to 2 software companies that we liked. From those 2, we had second interviews, so to say. And then we also, from both of those, spoke to people who had their software programs. One of the software programs that we actually felt pretty good about was through Beacon Snyder. And when we talked to LaPorte County, unincorporated LaPorte County, who uses their software, they were not pleased. They were actually, not pleased is probably not the right term. They didn't like the software at all. It was cumbersome. It was hard to use. It didn't do what they wanted it to do. So we discounted them.
Other than that, okay.
Yeah, other than that, it's great. For about 20 grand a year. So we discounted them. And then we sat through another proposal from iWork Systems. And then Lou and Honor talked to, I can't remember the name of the town. What was the name of the town? It was in Hanover, Indiana. And maybe the Honor, were you in on that, or was it just Honor? Unfortunately, Honor's not here. It's good to blame somebody who's not here. So that being said, we made the recommendation that our preference would be to go to iWorks. Now that I sent you guys or we sent you, everybody, that proposal, as well as a snapshot of what they offer, and also the website. I hope you guys had a chance to review that.
When was that sent and ready to work?
I don't remember
How long?
Oh, was it this week? 7. That was sent on Monday at 7:05 p.m. to everyone. So Monday night, yeah.
Okay, and it was sent to what, Joe Building?
Joe Building at longbeachIN.org.
Okay, good. I have not had a chance to look at it.
So that being said, did everybody else except for Joe have a chance to review this information?
Yes.
Yes.
I did.
So what'd you think, Bob? I'm sure the farthest away.
Yeah, I was impressed with what they had. I'm hoping that, there's buy-in by the people who are going to have to use it, particularly Honor. It looks to me like this is going to make the work of the building commission and Honor less over time, because a lot of the stuff that ordinarily we do, and Deanna's doing now, are going to be automatically taken care of. Those contractors are going to have to go on their site and put in all the data. Until they put in all the data, we won't even get anything. So to me, this looked like a real plus, as long as Honor and you and Lou are comfortable with it.
Okay. Ken?
Yeah, on paper, it looks good. Before, you guys actually talked to the vendor. And so,
We had 2 Zoom meetings with the vendor.
then we have a question on training. How will training for us and administration are being conducted?
The training, and this is systemic, it's not just with these people. Some people charge per seat. This particular, the 2 software programs that we actually wanted to go with, and then this one in particular, we did end up recommending, does not charge per seat. That's for use. From a training standpoint, the trainings are done online. And if we wanted to, we could have 10 people sitting on the training. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend that we have Honor, Lou, probably Deanna, and the chief. I'm sure he's not interested in sitting through more training, but at a minimum, those 4 people. And then that's what I would consider, or say, intensive training. And then we can sit in, the rest of the building commission can sit in on subsequent training sessions.
We want to get the system up and running, within, the town. And just typically the 4 of us probably, and then after that, we're going to involve ourselves and everybody in the building commission being trained on how to use it.
So there'll be an additional, need to know, be trained correctly. There'll be a filter down to the training.
Right, it's right. It's going to take 60 days for us to get this thing up and implemented. And we got to learn how to use it first, you know.
Yeah.
There are levels of involvement, Ken. And when I say that, levels of involvement, let's look at it from hands-on to perusal, so to say. So the most intensive hands-on would be people, Honor, Lou, myself. Initially, I think Dr. Deanne is going to have to be involved in it. And with those individuals would have complete the ability to go into the software, enter, delete, make sure that everything is right. Then there's the next step, which I would consider to be the building commission. The building commission would be able to see everything that's been entered in the software. And reports, inspections, photos of jobs, anything that's generated. Our suggestion from going through all these is that the building commission would not be able to go in and massage data. Because we can't have that many hands in the pie. That's really why we're looking at the software, to get all this stuff done without that many hands in the pie. So then the next level would be any officials in the town that we thought, as the building commission, should be able to avail themselves, and I'm sorry, I'm leaving Chris out, Chris would be the same, but anybody in town that would need to avail themselves to the information in whole. Then the final and least amount of information would be to the public. And I don't say that in a restrictive manner. Everything is public information. Once it's entered into the system, it's public information, just like it is now. All the paperwork that we do, all the things that we generate for the meetings today, that's all public information. So everything that's in this software will be able to be viewed by the public as it pertains to information that's not sensitive. But the public would not be able to manipulate anything. Hopefully that helps you out. Anything else?
Yeah.
Joe? Oh, you're the last one. Joe?
And I apologize that I did not look review this. I had tons of questions. And the one thing, I guess the most important question I have is, hopefully we will do the transition. So it's organized, and then and I have no problem with that, and I'll be completely out of it. And I want to make sure that the transition goes well. And because I don't know how this works yet, and a lot of different issues that I have. But that's beside the point. But I apologize to keep giving the criticism of any type right now, because I have to delve into it.
Okay, Joy?
I trust you guys on this, you guys are engaged with it and using it, so, I trust your opinion on the state fund. The proposal looks good to me, but, only ran for the first year and then it drops down after that to.
Right.
Manual fees.
And the nice thing about this one is some of them, one in particular, this, the same software that the town uses, Pete, what's the name of that? Town Civic. They were up to almost $40,000, and that was only for 2 or 3 seats. Yeah, it seemed to me after we talked to everybody and talked to people on this commission as well as people involved with Civic, that it just, everything is a charge. It's like this one. The troubles.
Part of the condition.
In the information that we now get, which are these spreadsheets, that have all our permits and all of our, that's what they're gonna take from us, and that will be in the software, so there'll be historic information as well as anything that's pocketed new.
Yeah, I would have to say that,
As well as all building,
right.
years of building rights, gonna go in.
John,
It's just-
Yeah, I really enjoy glad on you guys and, definitely needed it.
We gotta tell you that, and, you know, looking at 4 of these companies, several of them were just, did not do everything we wanted them to do. This company in particular, everything we asked them that we wanted to do, they could do. And it was really, I mean, it was a match made in heaven, in my opinion, because, these guys are extremely receptive to, questions anytime at all, at no charge. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because the other guys, they all wanted to charge extra for, information out of it, that kind of thing. These guys were amazingly perfect for us. You got it. Yeah, we're not calling Indiana.
Yeah.
Pete,
I'd like to spend some time with Luke on what they've asked for. When I go to their documentation, well, first of all, what modules do we have access to?
we will have access to, the permitting module, the registration module. It's also, both of those modules are, GIS capable. So, we always talk about, this group always talks about Beacon Snyder. Whether it's Beacon Snyder or whether it's somebody else, we type in, what's your address? Whatever Pete's address, I'll use mine, 3023 Mayfield Way, if you want to find out who the permits are and what's been done in that project. The list will be populated depending on how far back we want to go. Right now, we've got 5 years of information. You'll be able to see 5 years of information on there, who's worked there, and what's current, what's not current. It won't tie into the police department or anything else, but for the building department, it will.
So inspection is part of the registration.
Yes, inspection, when, let's say, I'll just use myself again. Let's say I go and I apply for a permit and I'm putting windows in. Let's do a roof that requires an inspection. So what will happen is I will be able to apply for that permit unless all the information that we require as the building commission is filled out on that form. It won't let me submit that unless I have everything.
So it's the users fill it in on.
That's correct. So once I get to the point where all my information's in and payment would be done through a pay service, then the applicant pays the fee. I forget what 2%, whatever the penalty is. Yeah. So the town gets the full amount of the permit, the applicant pays the fee, and then that information then comes into our system, it's called. And then when that information, everybody on this commission will be able to see that information. And we will set it so that anything, we can either set it so that once a week, that information is gonna go to everybody. We can set it so that every time a permit goes in, it goes to everybody. We have to kind of decide as a group what we want. So then once that information goes in there, and it's time for Lou to go out and on a roof, we want to inspect to make sure that there's ice and water sheet. So Lou will be able to go to the site with that information in hand on his iPad or phone or whatever he uses, and pull that permit up, take pictures of that, and those pictures will be uploaded right into the software. So then if you guys go in and you want to see that permit, you'll be able to see what's been done in there. If there's a citation written, that citation would be included in the information that you guys would be able to see.
So to upload the picture to the database.
Yes.
What do we need? Can we do it with that little Apple?
Yeah, I mean, just a cell phone, anybody's cell phone except for yours. We wouldn't exclude you.
I like the fact there, I was at AWS. That's for me. One thing that I'm having difficulty, when I look at their site, they talk about the user fee, $990 per year per user. And then the contract here talks about users and stuff like that. It's, we'll provide information for qualified user. So that seems to me to be added, I don't know what that term qualified user means, so. I just have to get those things straight, because we don't have any gotchas. I mean, sure. I looked at some of the recommendations and some of the applications. They look good. If we want these two modules, that's one thing. The additional modules, so there's no plan to interface with
Beacon or Ledger.
with the mapping.
Yes, that will be, whether they use Beacon Snyder or they use somebody else. We don't really care, at least I don't care. That's my opinion, it may not be Lou's or ours. I just want to make sure that we have the mapping in there. And what they have said to us is that they will most likely use Beacon Snyder's mapping. So when you pull that up,
So they can tap into it.
yes, yes, they have, and they have done Beacon Snyder.
Well, I would like to get this stuff clarified about the user in the actual contract terms. Because the one references that I want to see the page of the comments that people make. They talked about issues with the contract itself, completely understanding what the so if we need to get that user thing clarified. Okay, because how many, I can't imagine anything saying we can have 100 people. That's the big glitch is how many people are.
Well, I think that there may be something that I'm not explaining properly. We'll make sure that you're satisfied with that. Well, actually, everybody's satisfied with that, because I don't want to we have 7 of us on here. I don't want to have to pay $7,000 a year. The way we understand it right now is there is no per user fee that they're going to be charging us. They call it unlimited user fee.
Right. Well, they just think about that. Nobody wants to limit users of that. I mean, stuff they got some numbers. They don't stand correct.
Larry, Joe, Peter, if it's possible, I'd like to join you. That would help me with a lot of my questions.
And if everybody decides that they want to, we'll have set up a Zoom so that they could go through the exact same thing that they did with us, with all of you. And, you know, you could choose to attend or not to attend. I think John wants to go twice, don't you?
At least.
We have a slide, we distributed that slide, Joe.
I distributed the, what's it, what do you call it when the stuff comes up? That Photoshop, come on, don't be even people.
Yeah, it was PowerPoint, it was PowerPoint, right. I have the slides, I'll distribute to you guys.
Okay. All right, I think we beat this up pretty sufficiently.
Larry, I just have a question on,
Sure.
in terms of what, because timing, and you're getting into busy season soon, and then if you don't make a decision. So a couple suggestions is, one, is this commission prepared to make a recommendation to the council that this is what we'd like to go with, subject to the proposed contract and answering these questions, or two, maybe by your special meeting, you can have some of those answers so that you could make a recommendation to the council for their next meeting, because yours is after theirs. But, you know, time, you'll have another month gone if you don't act and start to at least have them prepare a contract proposal, if this is indeed kind of where you're headed. So that's just one suggestion. And two, a lot of work done by Lou and Honor and Larry, and I had an opportunity to speak to the county as late as this morning. And, you know, timing is on your side, because they certainly were in favor of going the Beacon route, and they've been waiting forever for these updates. And these updates and patches and everything recently came through, and they're very unhappy and they're stuck. So speaking to Ashley,
They spent 90 grand.
they did, and this price is in the realm of some other municipalities that I deal with, and, you know, they're not, they've chosen different, and they have a different environment than you guys do, and probably the complicated matters and projects that you do. So, you know, what you're getting in the price range, I think that it's certainly within the realm, or if not much cheaper, and Beacon is the most expensive. And so for the county to say, you know, they're very unhappy, you know, some of it's good timing for you, so.
Right. Thanks, Chris. Actually, that's a great point. How about this? I would ask that everybody review the information. Lou, would you talk to iWorks and see if we can set up a Zoom before the 22nd, which is.
Well, the town council meeting is Monday, right?
We won't make that.
No, but at least you be prepared before the next one, because your building commission's meetings are always after the council, right? So at least if you're prepared on the 22nd, you might have something that the next. Unless you were prepared to make a recommendation today, pending those questions, and then you guys could report to the council, but they're gonna put it off. They don't have enough information.
I can say this, Lou and Honor and I are making a recommendation to the building commission to purchase the software. We've been through 4 presentations, 3 of them twice. We've talked to the owners, or not owners, the 2 clients. And as you just mentioned, the county was very unhappy, and the other iWorks clients were very happy. So we're prepared to tell you, or we are telling you, this is what we think is best for the town. If you guys want more time, and Chris brings up a very valid point, if we start to stretch this out to where we don't get it to the council until April, May, it's going to be impossible to get it done in the middle of summer when everybody's busy. We have based our, and I say we, I think most of you guys probably know, Honor's duties are changing. There's an HR meeting coming up. I have sent a proposal to the town council, as well as Mark Swistek, that went to the HR committee about Honor and having her basically become the administrator or administrative end of the building commission. So The reason for that is because the implementation of the software is going to take quite a bit of time to do. And I expect, I'm hoping that that's going to be approved. If we don't get the software going, I'm afraid that somebody else is going to take it, basically. I mean, that's really the bottom line. And if that happens, then we're going to be kind of out of gas.
Well, Larry, the check for you and for this building commission is even if you decide to make that recommendation, all that will be is you requesting that this vendor supply you with a contract. And you still have plenty of opportunity to send notes to or authorize Larry to appear or, Mr. Coker, the pseudo liaison to the council or Dr. LeMay to say, hey, we would like to make sure these are accounted for. So you have plenty of time to make sure you answer some additional questions, but at least that moves the proposed contract, because no matter what, that contract won't be considered at earliest by the town council until the March meeting, which is already halfway through that month. And you're going to quickly lose another season if you don't move it along. And again, if you're not prepared today, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just trying to bring the timing element to light. Because as these things go, you'll be 4 or 5 months down the road and you'll be doing it next winter.
So based on that recommendation from Lou, Honor, and myself, I would ask the building commission to make a recommendation to the town council that we get a contract with these people. Let's see how that falls. By Pete.
Also,
By Joe.
Yeah, I reviewed what, you would vote for, sir.
I can't hear.
I have to turn the microphone on. Okay.
How's that?
I hear you now.
I did my review with the material that was presented and the recommendation you guys made. And I mean, it came to this meeting prepared to vote on it, assuming everybody else did. But Joe, you didn't get that, did you?
My fault, I didn't see it.
Okay.
But I'm waiting for this.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to make the recommendation to town council to go ahead with the contract for Iowa Systems, seconded by Joy. Any other discussion? John?
Provided this passes, we need to make sure that that PowerPoint presentation and the contract goes to the town council.
Right, that's part of the motion.
Yeah.
John?
I'm in favor.
Oh, no other discussion. How about we have a vote? Have to go through the roll call. Larry, yes. Bob LeMay.
Yes.
John Coker.
Yes.
Ken Clausen.
Yes.
Joey Schmidt.
yes,
Pete Bible.
Yeah.
Joe Jogman.
No.
Lou,
Jake.
is that it? Okay. Oh, that motion passes.
Okay.
All right. Look at this. Thank you to Lou and Honor. This was a lot of time put in and sitting in my office on a big screen TV, listening to these people from all over the country, and then making site visits to the county and the other locales. So thank you. Next up, solar ordinance. Ken, have you been able to get anywhere with the fire department? Okay.
Last meeting, I apologize, but
That's all right.
I hate done research.
I can't hear.
Sorry, guys. We got here. I've done some research in other municipality ordinances. And so I would have a little more information when I do discuss it with the fire department. And I'm in the position to do that probably early next week, to start working with them.
Thanks. If you need me to prompt anybody in the fire department, just let me.
Yep.
Next is No, 2006, so, wait a minute. Tell you what, why don't we, I'm assuming I could do this. Can I move an item up because there's people here that do that?
Everybody's agreeable.
Yeah. Can I move an item? Okay, great. Kip Carney's here with her brother John on 2023 Melrose. They have they know Kim has a permit application before us for remove and replace a concrete slab. Unfortunately, the drawings that we got with the permit show that there was quite a bit of the slab and the deck that were on the neighbor's property. We have since found out. Did you send another one in? Is that what happened?
I sent one of Mr. Fate sent, we know what happened there, and I was led to believe, since I've never done the permit application for, that I absolutely positively had to have a survey attached to it just for this project. It's not a project, it's take out deteriorating concrete slab and just put new concrete in the same footprint. I told I had to have a survey of my property. The only survey that exists in the records of the Fort County Board of Commons is the survey that was 2 owners ago, where there was a dispute.
That's the one that you sent.
Because the down, the deck got an easement, I gave it the easement. So then, well, it was yesterday, the reporter said, well, you know, your neighbor and Mr. Tate do a survey when they bought vacant land and wanted to build a new house. And that was his survey. So he's confirming that by the time they bought the land, everything was.
So I guess to make sure that everybody understands, what was sent in with the permit was a survey that was old. And that's the one that had the, does everybody understand what I'm saying here? That had had decks and a slab that's on Kim's property at 2023 that's no longer there. So that red flagged to us. Since that time, a survey was sent in that's correct and shows that all the work that is being proposed on Kim's property is on her property. So it's a remove and replace. It wouldn't have even come before the commission. So is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Except for Jim. Okay.
The only thing is, my ears long, and I'll just throw it in. Again, we're going by a surveyor location report, which he does say at the top of the report that he doesn't stand by anything because it's a surveyor location report. And the other one was just curious, just out of a question, is I saw that on the May 19th, 1999, 1999. That report had the edge, but it also did submit a grant of easement. So that wouldn't have mattered because there was an easement. They could have that on the other side. Do you still have that easement?
Yes, I attached it to the permit application. I got it when I purchased the property.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that easement was there. So whether it was off on the other side, I'm not sure how the easement would work. I don't think they would have had to do anything. And then we get the new surveyor location, which is whatever it is, August of 2003, which has that other piece, because that other part was cut off. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
This one.
I bought in August 2003, so I bought the house, all the problems have been fixed. Mr. Fate did the survey for the people who bought right after me, my neighbors. So that's how the property looked when I bought it.
So I guess what I'm saying to the building commission is, this wouldn't be before us had we had a survey that we now have. So there would be no reason not to approve it.
Shouldn't have been an issue in the first place.
Pardon me?
It shouldn't have been an issue in the first place.
No, it wasn't, but what Kim is saying is that she didn't have the second survey. She had the original one that was incorrect, and that's what she sent in because she was correctly informed that she needed a survey. And it was just an incorrect survey. So
I just wanted to show the wrong location of her son's house. They gave me the easement to show me that there wasn't possibly more than 20 years, so. The adverse possession is.
Is everybody aware of the memo from Dave yesterday describing, at length, the situation with the property line, and the concrete? We don't have an actual survey, but we have a description from the surveyor that says that the concrete, is, solely on her property, and that's what's going to be replaced. So we don't have an actual survey, but we have a written.
actually we do have the survey, so
Yeah.
everything's fine.
Let me ask a question on that. So, okay, now you got, which I'm all for this, but let me just say this anyway. But all of a sudden, we got a survey that we normally don't use, but also now you've got the surveyor giving you a letter. And is he saying that he's doing something with the survey is better than what it would be without the letter? I don't understand the purpose of the letter.
Can I ask you about the person?
If you could talk into the microphone, please.
Just turn it off and it'll go.
And ma'am, I understand that, and I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just curious what the surveyor is sending the letter, and what is the purpose of the letter, and how does the letter bind anything? Because I don't see it stand. I'm just,
I can address it. So we don't, here's the bottom line. We have a corrected survey with the permit application. And the corrected survey shows that there would be no reason why we shouldn't issue the permit.
I move to approve.
Thanks, Joy.
I'll second.
Who made the motion? Sorry, Joy. John said it. Larry Walt, yes. Bob LeMay,
Yes.
John Coker,
Yes.
Ken Clausen,
yes,
Joy Schmidt,
Yeah.
Pete Bivo.
Yeah.
Joe Jogman.
yes.
Okay, all set.
Thank you. I thank you very much. If I could just make, as long as I'm here, make one comment as a concerned citizen. I was, doing the right thing, and I know other people would not have pulled a permit because there were a lot of people who said that's ridiculous for what you're doing. Taking out old concrete, putting in new concrete. I did the right thing. I have now paid $425 in connection with the permitting process alone. So, and missed a lot of time from work because there seemed to be such a huge controversy over this application. I know the survey caused confusion, but in any event, I think for just as a regular resident, I find it, really, I think unfair and burdensome that someone who wants to just maintain and repair their property has to go through this extra expense and, time-consuming process just for that. Nothing, to me, as a layman, nothing is being constructed. It's just being repaired. So, that was my 2 cents.
The problem is not what you want to do. The problem is the history of this town. And the problem is that we have certain requirements to say, and ordinances and state ordinances that say you can't build on somebody else's property.
Oh, I know.
When that is not presented, we need to have that cleared up.
I totally understand that, but I'm saying to make.
That's the process we have to go through. And I will say, as I said in one of the meetings, about, let's say, let's say 30%, maybe 40% of all the applications that we get in have some sort of prehistory problem that has to be resolved. And it has to be resolved, not just because we want to. It has to be resolved because neighbors are next door. The ordinances, as I said, are for the benefit of neighbors and to avoid future conflict. So had we had the proper information in the first place, we never would have had those meetings.
I guess what I totally understand that. I guess what I'm suggesting is that for something that is just in the nature of a repair, for example, if my furnace went out and or a dishwasher and I needed a new one, would I have to get a permit to get a new furnace?
No.
So to me, this is it's a plain vanilla repair that has a safety, will eventually have a safety component to it. And I just question whether it's fair and reasonable to require a resident to get a permit for that type of work at all.
Just reiterate that our ordinances are very clear about modifications, renovations, all that sort of thing. Problems we typically have, people who have encroached on neighbor's property, either with a non-conforming structure, a non-conforming use, or something like that. And had we approved yours, and it turned out that there was no easement, then we could have been somehow liable. It certainly would have cost a lot of time. Our goal is to try to make sure the ordinances are enforced as they sit, without anybody's intervention. Say, oh, it sounds okay. Let's do it. That's the kind of decision making that has got this town in trouble, as far as I can tell. For 40 years, and now we're still correcting it. You can see it on the lakefront, in construction of homes, placement of septic systems, on neighborhood property, and what's a repair is we don't know what a repair is. All we know is these are the rules that have to be followed. I'm sorry that they had a big corner for the but avoid that. The fact is that what we've been doing is saying, here's the rules and let's follow them. And we have
I don't want to destroy it. Very short, Joe. What is it? It was a $50. Okay, that's all I need.
No,
I don't want to get
expensive.
And just for your clarification, and it might help you to direct, plan commission and the council, make changes to the code. So sharing your comments or introducing them to the plan commission to introduce changes to the building code or the zoning, and or town council can initiate those. This board, and I'm not a decision maker, but I'm just helping you of where any changes that you propose, they are presented with what the code is and enforcement. So your comments, that if you want to suggest those are the decision makers that have the ability to change it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I just say, the normal response I got was, are you kidding? Are you crazy? Don't get a permit, just do it. And so I think there is an issue where,
Right.
you can have a chilling effect on.
Right, I understand that, but I can assure you that the reason that happens, the reason why this happened today is because people do that. They say, oh, I'm not gonna get a permit. And then what they do is they build something on their neighbor's property, and then you would have the problem when you go to buy the house, and all of a sudden somebody else's stuff is on your property, then all of a sudden that turns around. So we're very cognizant of what happens, but really, I think, to back up Chris's point, we just enforce the rules. We don't make them. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, John. Next up, 2006 Somerset.
Okay, so we expect to have current information here on their recent build of their plans. The original plans and the front door in the 30-foot setback in the front yard. They corrected that. They didn't give us an indication of where the 30-foot mark is. They gave us an indication where the 36-foot mark is. That's what happened, corrected. Second thing was, we had a 2 vehicles, not properly placed away from, an adjoining roof peak. They took that out of the, plans. So we're going to get back to us. Everything, appears to be, in order here. Look at these plans for quite some time, but we don't have what we need to, we could approve it, subsequent to, the correct 30-foot setback, drawn in on their fence, because everything else is in line.
I would make a recommendation that we wait until we get everything back. I was expecting that they would have it before today, but obviously they didn't.
So
So,
I asked for on Monday.
great. Why don't we wait until they get their information back? Next up, 3100 Lakeshore Drive. As Joy mentioned earlier, this was an incorrect situation on the last minutes. What we're asking for is a statement that is to remain an office and not an inhabitable rental. They also need a plumber's license and electrical permit. We don't have that information yet, and when we get it, that would be able to be approved.
Right.
Next up is 2700. I don't know what's the address?
It's more.
2700 Floral Trail. And the issue on this permit, we did approve the permit because they sent a permit in and they asked for permission to install an egress unit in a lower level. And there was no reason not to give them permit for doing that. The issue that comes up is normally if somebody then wants to make a lower level so that they meet egress requirements, usually that means that they're going to put a sleeping room down there. So Lou had asked, I'm not going to speak for you. I'll let you go ahead and tell us what you found out.
Okay, so, spoke with the woman, who was having, basically, their water put in the basement and adding this, egress point here. And I said,
What's the purpose of the egress? I asked if you're going to put a bedroom in there. She said, well, not at this point, but we're thinking about it. And so from there, it got a little deeper and we decided that, we needed to be more direct and say that, if you're going to put a bedroom in, you got to have approval from the county, on the size of your septic system. Well, in fact, they had gone and done that. They had gone to the county, they have approval to add a bedroom into the basement. They're just not ready to do it at this point. So it was correct of us to give them a permit for the waterproofing of the basement and the egress. And we will see another building permit application from them later on down the line for finishing the basement.
Or what's the last thing?
Finishing the basement.
Okay, but we're approving when we did the.
This is, yeah.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay, so I guess the bottom line for this is we're going to just watch it and see what happens and hope that.
Yeah, she says she has it ready from the county on the septic size requirement.
And more so, they just come and get a permit.
Yeah.
If we get copies of that. Next up is 2805 Florida Trail, and then we keep listing that as 2610. It's not 2610. This is the solar permit. That permit is rescinded because they're not registered and they haven't paid it. So until that happens, that permit that we approved last meeting is not. We're going to make sure that is full.
Which property is?
It was listed on a prior meeting as
2610.
2610, but it's not 2610. The address is there. It's 1 fire for
So what, in that case, where they put that in this until we approve everything.
I need you to talk into the microphone. I can't hear.
Sorry.
Once again,
Ken, we approved the permit
yeah,
in the last, and that approval was based on my understanding that the permit fee had been paid, the contractor was registered. I've since found out as late as today, the contractor is not registered and the permit was not paid for. So there is no permit. And they only have, I'll have to look and see, but I think they only have 90 days from when that application was submitted. If they don't, then we'll just toss it.
okay.
You're saying that 2610 is actually,
It's 2805.
okay,
Would you change the adjustment?
2805.
They list the address as 2610 and they listed it as Walter Quinlan.
Yes. And
That address is 2805, not 2610. Right. Unless it's a different,
20 years. We're talking about Michael, this is the.
yes,
This is the Michael.
that's what they're telling us, that it was Mike Todd.
I thought it was for the son, which is the 2610.
Okay, you know what? I don't care what the address is. The permit is rescinded.
Yeah, Mike is Walter's son.
Okay, we're all set. New business, 2930 Oriole Trail. Louis, you want to touch on that one? That's the temporary certificate of occupancy is no longer void or is void because there's no pool fence.
Yeah, they got a snow fence around the pool, and that's not acceptable. I can't issue a certificate of occupancy, without a real fence, 5 foot high, around the pool. And I spoke with, the builder, I'm almost confusing Mark Scott.
Yeah, Mark
Scott, Monday. And I told him that his temporary certificate of occupancy was expired, void, and he did not have a CO until he gets the fence up.
Was somebody living?
No,
Are we talking about the permit that they submitted on November 2nd? Which was for installing 164 feet of 6 foot tall white panel Barrington 2 fence, 3 gates.
Is that fence? No.
That's the permit we're talking about?
2930 Oriole Trail.
Yes.
Yeah, the fence isn't up, so
Yeah, but
without a fence, they're not gonna get a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but the permit we're telling them we're denying right now is this permit.
No, we're not denying the permit. If they don't have the fence up, they're not gonna get a certificate of occupancy.
But we've never approved this permit.
When was it submitted?
I think you did, but
I don't,
Yeah, I'm sure it was
I don't
probably,
have the numbers. November 2nd is when it was submitted.
well, we'll have to look at that.
I'll look into that too.
Yeah.
So you think this has been approved? Okay. I'll go check.
Next up, number 14, 2006 Somerset, we already covered that. 2210 Oriole Trail, we need the septic located on the site.
okay. I met with Chuck Downey, the general contractor here. Basically, they put a new septic system in, the raised bed and a new tank. They put the new tank right next to the old tank. And they had a deck that was rotting and falling apart. They took that out. They got a 3-season room that's about to fall outside of the house. And Don has been contracted to put a new deck up and a new 3-season room. The difficulty lies in that this replacement deck, even in the same location, is about a foot away from the new tank. Now, the county has told us through several previous projects that we're allowed to construct close within 10 feet to a tank, but not closer than 10 feet to a bed. So this property actually complies with the county's requirement, and they are far enough away from the tank to satisfy the county, and everything else is in order. It's a remove and replace.
One thing I would say, Lou, that you request of Donnelly or the owners, that they get a letter from the county that says that they can put their deck closer than 10 feet. And the reason I say that is the state law says 10 feet. It doesn't differentiate between a tank. It says, if you look at the law, next time when you can have a copy of it, it says
10 feet, many,
10 feet from any, yes. So if the county is going to say that that's okay, then I think we need to make sure that it's documented, okay?
Will do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
did they replace a septic tank?
Yes,
And where did they replace it? Right where the old was?
It's right next to the old one. Yeah, right next to the old one.
Okay. Pete, if you want to look at that permit, that was permit 22-10-220 was the permit for the septic.
okay, so let's get that information
Yeah, you look, who the contractor was?
in. That did the septic? We have to look at
Louis Becker.
Geez.
I'll tell you for sure in a minute. No, Lake Land, you're talking about who did the,
We're not going to approve the permit until we get the information, so let's move on. 2930 Lakeshore Drive, proper site plan and coverage calculations. This is an existing landscaping job, replacing existing and some minor new coverage. But they have sent in a survey that they use a 145-foot property line for their calculations. And nowhere on the survey does it say 145 feet. The survey looks like it's been copied over. So Lou asked them, I don't want to speak for Lou, but I know that he did ask them to provide us with an updated survey that shows the work that they're doing on the survey.
if Larry, like you said, if at least it'd be readable, this one is a copy of a copy, you can't even read it.
Right, and the work is not on that. We want the work that's going to be proposed, the proposed work on the survey. Next up is Captain's Walk property. They have sent in, which everybody got a copy of, a land disturbance permit. With that permit, they sent an application to the LaPorte County for to meet the MS4 requirements. LaPorte County is no longer in charge of MS4 for the entire county. Town of Long Beach is their own MS4. That being said, I called Reggie. Did everybody get the email I sent out about this?
Yeah.
So I called Reggie, who is our representative, the contract with the town to help us in the MS4. And this property is well over an acre. So they have to comply. I'm asking Reggie to help us make sure that they have met all the requirements.
Is Reggie, as you have pointed out, is Reggie aware of this? What does it make clear to
Yes,
that ultimately feeds into the agreement?
yes. I've actually had her to the site.
Okay. Robert. Okay.
No. And I think everybody knows this, I know Pete does. So all those ponds that you see from actually back behind Woodruff, they drain down through, they come through by Hacienda, and they come through Lake Claire, and then they go through what we call, well, the golf course has those couple of ponds. And then the golf course actually filled one pond, and then it goes through what we always call Shots Pond, which is out on Moore Road. Then it goes into White Ditch, and that meanders up through Blueberry Pond and Indiana, and then it meanders up and dumps into Lake Michigan, right to Grand Beach. So that is, what do you call that, Pete?
A long way.
It's a long way. Okay, next up, 2311 Hazeltine. Little background on this. We approved a permit some time ago for, there was a septic system that was redone there. I think it was a tank. And then we approved a permit for some work around that tank in some areas in the house. Then we approved a second permit in the amount of $20,000. I sent an email out about this yesterday as well. Hope everybody read it. So what's happened is there have been some, there's a common driveway that's shared with two other homes. And that has been, has created some issues with the surrounding homeowners. It was brought to my attention. So then I looked into, I called the contractor and explained that it is paramount that contractors allow neighbors to use their property and basically get along with neighbors. And it's continued to be an issue. But what that did was it forced me to look into the project a little deeper. And the work that's been done that I can see from the exterior, I had not been in the home, appears to be much different than what was permitted. It looks like they are building something or putting living space above their garage now. The breezeway that connects that garage is all closed off. So I don't know what they're doing, but that work was not permitted. And here we are. So we need to figure out what to do.
Okay, I visited the site at noon today with the contractor and looked at the permits that we've granted and the work that's been done there. They are putting a bathroom in as we have permitted for. That's kind of butts up to the garage. I questioned his value of $20,000 for a septic tank and a bathroom. And he said, yeah, he needs to correct that. So he's coming back to us with corrected numbers on the cost of that project. The other part of the project, it's a septic and a bathroom, period. But the work over the garage, there's been no work over the garage. There is a bedroom there that has been there forever, apparently. So whoever said there's work going on above the garage is incorrect. I saw it myself. So the other project is the three-season room over the old deck that was approved by the BZA is work underway. I spoke with the contractor about the driveway situation. He assures me that no trucks, anything will be parked in the driveway, blocking anybody else's access to their home. So as I left there today at 12:30, been pretty copacetic. Nothing's going on there that we haven't permitted, but he is reevaluating the dollar value of the work.
So
Did they ever get a permit for that three-season room after the BZA gave them approval?
Yes.
Okay.
So who owns the drive?
It's owned by 3 families apparently that drive in there. And you know, if you look at it on Beacon, it's a cluster. We had problems with issuing this initial permit because the driveway is not where it's located on the survey. It's kind of sideways to that. But nonetheless, it's the driveway that they're all using.
So it is in fact listed for 3 people, 3 homes? And whoever's listed, they have the right to determine how it's used.
Yeah, we looked at that when we issued the permit a while ago, and I can't remember.
So we don't know how many bedrooms that house is listed for? No, and there would be no reason for us to know the number of bedrooms based on the original permit. And I'm gonna read to you, I sent this out to you, everybody, yesterday. Here's what the permit says. Demo of bathroom, bathroom and interior hallway entryway. Remove molded drywall above garage and replace steps. For health department, head to crush tanks and replumb bathroom to septic. All plumbing will be done by Wiseman Plumbing, heating, after prints are drawn by Heidi Hornaday. Remove tree vines coming into the house. So there is no 3-season room on this permit. And we have never seen drawings from Heidi. The reason that I said in my email that it appears that there's work being done above the garage is because there is a brand new, what's called a mini split system, which is an HVAC system that is new and it's feeding the 2nd floor of the garage. So I don't know what's going on there, but it is well above what they were permitted for. And my suggestion to the building commission is to, I don't know if they want to stop the work, but at a minimum, we need to get the permit updated to find out what they're doing. And we need to see the drawings that were done by Heidi to find out what's going on there. This permit simply says that they're replacing molded drywall above the garage. It doesn't say they're adding HVAC. It doesn't, plumbing. It says that they're demoing the bathroom and replumbing the bathroom. So the contractor needs to come in because of what's happened. The contractor needs to come in and properly permit what's being done. That's my suggestion to the building commission.
So I've heard 2 things. Larry, you said that they didn't have a permit for the 3-season room, but then Lou said that they did. What's the story?
I don't see anything on this permit from November 9th about a 3-season.
It's a separate permit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
2311.
So maybe their only offense is that they underestimated the cost of the project and therefore are paying less of a fee because of that.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what sorry, Bob.
That's not to minimize that. I mean, that's pretty fraudulent to do that. To me, it seems like a stop work order until this permit is taken care of and the permit fee is taken care of is reasonable. I'm done.
Okay.
The other issue that I think, which Larry has mentioned before, is contractors. And I believe that the contractor that's there is a self-employed or a entity in himself. And any extra workers that he has over there should be registered with the town.
So I've asked the guy to come in and revalue the application and explain the added HVAC, which was not on the application. So he knows he's coming in with those 2 pieces of information, and
Well, part of this, we need to see Heidi's plan.
Yeah, I saw them for the first time today. We don't have Heidi's plans.
So I'd say it should be a stop work order.
I agree, I can't find the permit because
I just, Joy, I agree with you. I just looked and I'm all the way back to March 21st of 2022. We denied an application that was received on 10/4 of 21 for 3 seasons room on a deck.
yeah, I don't see the other.
So
We denied it, then the BZA said okay, but then they never did come back to us to get that permit, right?
okay.
Right.
So we've got 2 issues then. Okay. So
Let me do some homework.
we need a permit on the 3 season room.
Yep.
We need a permit on whatever they're doing above the garage. And that's it, right? In the drawing.
And the drawings, yeah. Yeah, we need an explanation about the HVAC, we need height spreads, we need a building permit for 3 season rooms. We need a revaluation of this, building permit and what's going on with the garage.
Anything else?
I will take care of all of that Monday.
Okay,
I think we need to stop working on it. So we get this.
Yep.
Not just wait for some information. I mean, obviously they got scammers.
Speak this the only time it's happened. I'm sorry.
I think a lot of people, once they get a BZA approval, think that they have clean sale.
No, I think the BZA makes it pretty clear to them that they need to come back to us. That doesn't fly.
okay, well then, is everybody in agreement we issue stop work order?
Yes.
Okay. I guess that makes your job easier. With this issue a stop work order, and then he's gonna have to bring everything.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you. Next up is 1612 Indianapolis. And everybody understands the history behind this. What's up right now is Chris, and I'm not going to speak for Chris, I'm just going to tell you what my interpretation is of what Chris and I have talked about and Joy over the last month or so. There's been negotiations back and forth. There was a fee, fine suggested that is not acceptable. So right now, what we're looking at is that they would come to us with a consolidated permit request for all of what the work they've done, with all the information that we've seen, but have it consolidated to request what they've done and what they should do. And then we would make that determination as to whether or not that permit would be approved and or we'd accept the proposal.
Mostly right, but so we have a lawsuit filed. It's been pending. We've been back and forth, as these things tend to do as you get closer to a trial or hearing date, discussions are had. So there is a proposal for settlement is what we'll call it. These are for, I don't really like to get into the details of pending litigation, but we're here up against potential approval if you guys were inclined to resolve it. As you know me, I'm not litigious first. It always makes sense where you can resolve things and people are brought into line with the code. So, you know, the bottom line is there's a settlement proposal that they pay $5,000, which since I've been involved would be the highest amount of anybody who has been brought into order. There are pending, I guess, a couple of different competing building applications that are a little bit confusing to everybody, including that side. So then the discussion has been that we would agree in principle to resolution provided that they submit a new or consolidated, as Larry indicated, permit application. As Larry has pointed out, Joya is painfully familiar, and Lou, especially the way that they were treated on the front end of this, particularly Lou. But it seems to me that this is resolvable. So what's before you is that they would submit everything. Any agreement to resolve this matter would be the agreement for them to pay that fine, for them to submit what they need. And if you determine there's any variances needed, that they would obtain those variances, and that we would resolve the matter. Without going into the merits, and I don't intend to go to the merits on the record and in the public, because that's what a trial is for if we go there. The benefits is you get resolution, they bring things in the line, you don't go through the expense and cost of the town for the litigation. So that's what's before you today. And, their counsel and I have discussed proposing to the court of, setting off that date pending these things, and us signing a binding agreement to that fact, but not committing you today in terms of approving that permit, because they need to consolidate what's there. And I know that, Joy and I have talked, and she has some questions and continued questions, and that onus is on them. But I do think that what I'm bringing to you is the ability to resolve it if you're inclined to go further with that.
Does the resolution require that they comply with all ordinances? Period.
That's what we're doing.
Yes.
That's what we're doing, that they comply, that their projects are in compliance.
And does the $5,000 include all fees that we pay for attorney's fees and court fees?
It will include anything, but of course in there, if you were to.
Would that be included in the 5,000?
Yes, 5,000 is the number. And I can assure you that, well, the town is never allowed to make a windfall of fees and do all of those things, but I can assure you, my recommendation or my opinion is that the town will not lose out on what you have invested in pursuing this to date, from a legal perspective, from my office perspective.
Chris, is that a building commission decision about this settlement? Or does that go to the town council?
Yes, because of the way that it's constituted right now, and this building commission is one who authorized me, and under the way that the code writes, you initiated it, we could resolve it and dismiss it. And I'm not saying that we would dismiss anything until everything was done. I guess ultimately we're floating out here whether you're inclined to resolve it pending them consolidating. Because again, we're in a confused state, for lack of a better description, because they have piecemeal. One, they did ahead of time of work, and the other one, they were asking for forgiveness, and there's been some questions. So my suggestion is let's clear it up and put it in one clean new application, get rid of the other stuff, and so that this building commission can I don't think we're far based on review of those things as well as the number, but that's your decision.
I'm going to ask Joy, you're the closest to this, and then Luna, so.
I have no problem with getting everything in one permit. However, by leading them to believe there's going to be a resolution, the addition they put on is in the side setback. I don't believe that this commission can ever approve that or resolve it.
We can't.
So they're either going to have to tear that off or go to the BZA.
But I think you're missing it. That's the point, is that they will be in compliance with the code. So they are either removed, just like we had discussion about lot coverage. If they're over, they've said, listen, we need to put hand railing on. We need to remove some things so that we're in lot. They want to avoid variances. The issue, so I guess the bigger parameter here for the consideration is a payment of a sum certain, them to be in compliance, including submitting an application. And if a variance is determined, they either get a variance or they tear out or don't do what they're required to do.
Okay. Joe, the only thing is, and I understand, Chris, I think I understand, but you're using the word resolution, and that kind of
is where I'm saying that if you guys do this, that's the resolution. Well, we won't have a resolution until we see the permits and we approve the permits. So that's where the word resolution says that we're gonna approve the permits automatically. And I don't think you intend that. I don't disagree.
Nobody said that.
But just the way with the word resolution, I don't know what the resolution.
We're not going to approve the permits automatically, so that's not part of the deal.
Right.
The only thing we're saying is that they're gonna consolidate the permit and bring it before us. And then they have to comply to our rules. That's the only thing we're saying. I just wanted to.
And the only thing we're looking for is that St. Council and I could report back to the court, okay, and say in good faith that we have a resolution and that this trial, we can reschedule this trial if we need to, and not that we want to build in more time. Your rights are preserved. What it does is take everything off the clock. We have a trial coming up. We can go to trial and you're going to spend more than what we have in play here versus us having a gentle person's agreement saying, listen, we're prepared and this is our last effort. We can in good faith report to the court that we have a resolution in principle from my world, right? Subject to them getting approved building permits, them paying the agreed certain amount.
Beautiful. Once we're done,
I think we're in good shape, Bruce.
Larry, once we're done with that, I gotta make a comment. Are we done with that issue?
Yeah, but we're not done
I just want to say this so I don't forget.
about the 1612.
No.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
and then I'll come back to you in a second.
So we're going to require that they comply with all ordinances, which means there's something off, I have to do something to comply.
They're gonna consolidate their permits or lack of into a building permit.
That's right.
A singular permit.
And they will either have a permissible project that requires no variances, or they will either be required to get variances and successfully get them and come back to you for approval of the building.
And, okay, so, and in addition, they would pay $5,000.
That's right.
And they would cover all of our expenses, we cover all our expenses and any fines.
That would be the fine, right? Whatever.
You can apply it, yes. Well, that's part of the resolutions, right? Everybody gives a little. You can certainly authorize me to go forward. That's what the sum goal, everybody's giving a little bit. If you decide that's not it, then you can roll the dice and do it too.
I don't know if you can do that. Okay. I mean, I think maybe you could get it.
It's available at the clerk's office.
Yeah, I don't.
It's available at the clerk's office.
Now, there's a contract. Who's paying this fee this time? Contractor?
We're suing.
What recourse is there to the contract?
It's relatively an Uncle Jimmy. There's no, they were unregistered. It's part of the whole deal. Site unregistered, no permit, no registration.
Well, that's the quintessential,
Right.
right, that's the scenario that's Ken brought up before. With your family, that's gonna work on it. And I'm merely bringing to you a proposed settlement. You guys can take it or leave it, you're the decision maker.
It sounds like everybody's okay with that, right?
Yes. We have everything we need on this. But. There was a deck of the back of,
I was just gonna say that.
You could say that.
There is a permit for that.
Water?
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about on 2311.
I'm not so.
Okay. I'm just trying to do the
Oh,
whole
wait, you know what? We're not gonna go back and revisit that. We're gonna issue a stop work order until he comes in. I don't want to rehash this again.
Well,
We're gonna get
Joel, stop a second. You know,
Joel, I'm gonna need.
there's no reason to say something
Nope.
not correct.
Stop.
So,
We're not going to open 2311. We're issuing stop work order.
why are
And
you?
they're going to order.
Because
He's not compliant with what he's doing.
he's got it.
Joe, stop.
Fine.
It is fine, because that's what we're gonna do.
That's what you want. That's what you want. Thank you.
Wow. Unbelievable. Anyway,
Thank you.
let's move along here. 2400, you're gonna have receipts.
I don't know what's wrong.
Explain it. Okay, so the guy's got a deck off the back of his house on Lake Claire. And he wants to alter the deck and put in one of those spa pool things. And then extend some more deck around outside the spa pool for an acre of walking around, which was, this deck, new deck, is 35 feet away from the rear property line. The coverage calculations come up to, 2400.
Yeah, that's 18%.
It was
18%.
Oh, 18.
2400 show.
Right. Yeah.
We held this for coverage calculations. And he's provided those.
Yes, yeah.
So other than that, they meet all the other requirements.
Right.
Okay.
Is this technical, anybody's view?
No. It's on the bottom of the pond here on Lake Claire. So everything else is to the side.
Lou, just to remind everybody, the view ordinance, anything, any lot adjacent to the golf course or the lake. So if there's a violation of any view ordinance, because it's Lake Claire is owned by the golf course. But then,
Yeah.
Lou, so any other discussion about 2400?
Yeah, just a question.
Raise your hand if you want to talk. We're not going to open the meeting up to open discussion. If anybody has something to say,
Larry, I have my,
raise your hand.
I have my,
Okay, go.
when it's, you're doing your best. My hand up, it's hurting, anybody now, let you know, hey, it's there, up in here.
Anything else in 2400? Joe, do you have a comment on 2400?
Yes, I do. Lou, the only thing I had, and I don't remember when I reviewed this before, I had a scribble about a setback. Did you check the setbacks on this? I don't remember what I wanted to put, but I do agree we got the coverage calculation now, but I thought I found the setback, but if we don't, you didn't see anything wrong with setback.
Setback, the deck is 35 feet from the property line. And the property's on a sewer line.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on 2400?
Yeah, you can, you're right there.
Yeah, right across the street. I like that, it's just for the fun, written in the room.
make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
P. Yeah. Okay, there, yes. Bob Lemay,
Yes.
John Cook,
Yes.
Ken Claus,
Yes.
Joy Schmidt,
Yeah,
Pete Bible, Joe Jackman.
Yes.
We're all set. Next, we have a couple of things that came up that did not make the agenda or the notes, unfortunately. One is there were 2 tickets issued to 1917 Monrovia One ticket was for $500 for the unregistered contractor to the owner. The other was a $500 and a $100 ticket issued to the contractor, Michael Savell. I got a call from the owner's grandson-in-law, I guess you'd call him, pleading his case that the owner didn't know that they needed a permit. And, is there anything we could do about the fine? So I asked, well, what is the work? And well, he said, I'm reading an ordinance that says that we don't need a permit if the work is emergency nature. And he said that the work is to repair a broken water line in the bathroom. Lou, you were there. What is the work?
It's about making a bathroom from a bathtub to a shower.
Okay.
In emergencies.
I didn't want to answer the question until I talked to you. So that being said, I will just relay to them that the tickets stand. And also a correction, which we talked about yesterday, the $100 ticket, it should have been a $500 ticket.
A single $500 ticket, just a single $500 ticket, not 500 plus 100?
Yes, that's correct. It should be a 500 and a 500.
So, so 500 is for no building permit?
500 for no building permit and 500 for a non-registered contractor.
Okay.
And these, obviously, those dollar amounts of the tickets got the preferred result.
And they sort of needed 500 for more permit applied to the contractor and to them.
Yes. Yes, that's why the local tickets there.
So now we're looking at $1,000 each.
If you don't get a permit, it's 500. If you have an unregistered contractor working on your property, it's 500.
Okay.
So if you do both, it's $1,000.
Well, wait a minute. We've got tickets for both the contractor and the homeowner, right? And so is the homeowner charged $500 because he didn't get a permit? And then is the contractor charged 500 plus another 500 because he's working without a permit and he's not registered?
I think there's.
He worked without a permit and he wasn't registered. I don't think that you can penalize both, can you?
I don't know.
Well, as you ponder this, though, this is a good time to remind that we discussed before, when we looked at permit application and having the property owners countersign so that they're aware of these. Another good reminder as we get into the busy season, however you decide this one, here's a good example why getting the word out and then updating that application so that we have them. They can say they've recognized, as well as the contractors. Now everybody, you take away some of the guesswork. Of course, people are still going to say they weren't aware, but I still encourage you to review and update that application so that we can make it even clearer.
Okay.
So just to clarify, the way it's written, if somebody starts work without a permit, the contractor starts work without a permit, and you can forget whether it's registered or not, it's $500 to the contractor and $500 to the home. Now, if he's unregistered, that's another $500.
To the contractor?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what we need to give out.
Pardon me, Bob?
So this should be 1,000 to the contractor, 500 to the homeowner. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes. Okay, did we make this $500 building permit fine
Yes.
change when we did the?
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah. I know that the changes were both to $500.
Okay.
And now we know the implementation is, this should have been 500 to the owner for going without a permit, 500 to the owner for hiring a non-registered contractor, and then 500 to the contractor for not being registered. that, everybody agree with that?
Wait, I thought it was 500, no building permit, 500 is the contract.
I personally, I think, double that. And
I need you to talk into the mic.
We're talking to them.
I'm sorry. I think it's a little heavy hit on that homeowner to make them responsible for a fine that is the contractor's responsibility to register. Hiring, doing the work without a permit, yeah. Homeowner.
I agree.
Well, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that not having a permit is a fine, $500. And a contractor each.
That's the homeowner and contractor not having a permit, and for not being registered, it's always in the contract.
Yes.
Okay, so the homeowner doesn't get dinged for hiring a non-registered contractor.
Yes, they do. And I'm gonna go right back to what the resident brought up here today. What happens is Pete alluded to, people hire people to do work out here, knowingly hiring non-registered people. Knowingly hiring non-registered people to do work without permits. The protection here is not for the town. The protection is for the people that live here. Because just like this particular individual, happened to be registered here years ago, chose not to register, may have fallen off and doesn't have insurance in it. So now this person goes out. There's a lot of things wrong with this particular job, which I mentioned to the homeowner or the grandson-in-law. They've got somebody doing plumbing work that's not licensed. The state requires plumbers to be licensed in the entire state. So that's strike number one. Strike number two is this homeowner has asked a non-licensed, non-plumber to come into their home and do work. So what's going to happen if that work fails? This guy doesn't have most likely because he didn't register. And he's doing work that's against state law because he's doing plumbing work. So the protection is, everybody has a tendency to say the town is beating up on me, just like this individual that came today said, I shouldn't have to get a permit to replace my concrete. You sent us information that said that your concrete was being replaced on property that you don't own, which we cannot approve. Which is the very reason why you have to come in and get a permit. So the reason we increased our fees from $100 for both of those fines is because most people would just say, fine, I'll hire somebody that's not registered, pay their $100. And if I get caught for not having a building permit, I'll pay the $100. Lou hears that in the field. Contractors and owners telling that. So what's $100? Now, you're looking at $1,500 for that infraction alone, let alone hiring a non-licensed plumber. That's why we went to that. So, I mean, I hope that Ken explains why we're doing what we're doing. It's to protect the people.
Well, Larry, the clarity that I needed was just who paid what and how much.
So,
It seems like it should be 2,000.
That's,
how's these?
Yeah.
that's my,
I'm gonna ask Rick.
based on the explanation.
Listen, it gets back to, in my mind, it's clear as mud, as you guys are saying, and it's the education and it's the updating that permit application that hasn't happened. The contractor registration is clear. The other isn't mandatory. That's discretionary. You can do that. This gets back to what your pleasure is as this building commission, how you want Lou to enforce it. So under the ordinance as it was approved, there is no question that the contractor gets hit. for not registering, for doing work without. That's an easy one. The other one allows you to penalize the property owner if you deem fit, but there isn't a specific section in there that says if you hire this contractor and it turns out they aren't, or you do, they weren't, you have the ability to do it, but it doesn't state that specifically. That's a policy issue that you guys need to decide, or go further and say if they are.
To that point, the contractor not being registered is one thing, $500, we all agree. Not having a permit, that's the contractor's responsibility, I would assume.
No, it's not.
Okay,
I mean, it is, but it's the homeowner's responsibility as well.
okay.
Oh,
As a former electric contractor, it was our responsibility to get a permit for the work that we did. Registration was another thing, but to have a permit, it wasn't the homeowner's responsibility to get an electrical permit for plumbing and electrical are state regulated. So,
And I agree from your,
It's a fact. It would happen in Indianapolis. Because of Jimmy told me, we got almost didn't get permits for the planning.
mhm.
So somebody got to we want it, what we want. We want people to register, we want people to tell us what they're doing. That's what we're at. And we've not been successful in getting everybody to understand. And now I think people will understand, you know, the word will get around and that it should be, you know, displayed at the council. Say, look, this is serious. I mean, it's a serious problem. Long Beach is I didn't know. I can tell you, when you don't have any kind of enforcement like that, you get things like that which is going on in the beach. The Milton Beach is wild west.
There's no argument for the need. I understand totally. It's the responsibility who we're charging for what? A homeowner, the contractor? And I just want clarification because just initially in the conversation, we came up with $1,500 and then based on further discussion, we're at $2,000. If I understood that, Joy, you came up with the same thing from the same discussion. So,
and Ken, you're making the point from your perspective, you know, this commission doesn't have privity of contract. So you as electrical contractor come to my house and your proposal to me that I sign and accept says part of what you're doing includes you getting. That has nothing to do with the town, but you're right. Because in general, that's the residents' perceptions, which then gets, again, back to my point. What's your policy? And you have to stick to that policy as this commission, be more specific in the ordinances and or update all the paperwork so that everybody is crystal clear what it is, because you're not wrong. And then the general perception is, you know, you're getting the permits, but they don't. To Pete's point, and I don't want to speak for Pete, is that this is the town's attempt at saying, listen, you can't hide behind that and say I didn't know. So, and I know you understand that. So I think the need, to Ken's point, is clear that you have to decide what your policy of enforcement, you have the mechanisms under the code, you have to be able to direct and then be consistent, make sure that that policy is the policy. But I also think education to the public in the form of updating that application so that everybody's crystal clear that they're responsible, that just because Joy owns the house and she signs a contract with Ken, that doesn't alleviate her from the responsibility. But most people don't read it that way. And, you know, as the old adage goes, ignorance of the law is no excuse. I do think it's incumbent upon the town to try to educate people so that they understand what the expectations are.
I think maybe the best thing to do, if everybody would just jot down your thoughts on this, about what you think, what we should enforce as far as who's responsible for what. And then at our special meeting, how about that we just bring this up at the same time, make the decision. And we can't make decisions outside of a public meeting. So if everybody would just jot down your thoughts, email them to everybody, and then we can come up with hey, we think this is the way we're gonna go. The homeowner's gonna get fined for this, the contractor's gonna get fined for that. Ultimately, the reason that we boosted it is the double finger pointing, and that's happened out here forever. Well, the homeowner says, oh, I thought the contractor was getting it. The contractor tells, oh, no, the homeowner told me to get that. And then everybody walks away, we don't even get the 200, and it continues on. We need to stop it. And from the notification standpoint, which is the very reason why we're before the software goes through, we're having K Plus come up with a database so that we can email blast all contractors. We can't do the residents because we don't have emails from everybody, but we'll maybe go through the clerk's office for that. Next was on the insurance end, which Joe talked about earlier. I had conversations back and forth with General Insurance, who does some of the insurance work for the town. And the bottom line is, when somebody submits a registration to us and they submit it under the guise of sole proprietor or what have you, we make them go to the state and get what's called a workers' comp exemption certificate. And on that certificate, it explains what they are. Most of the time they come back is that they're a sole proprietor and that they don't hire anybody. So to Joe's point, what that says to us, in which I checked with the insurance company, is that individual doesn't have workers' compensation insurance for anybody that may work for them. What that also means that if somebody does work on the job, that they would be considered a subcontractor. And I know just from my own business, and Ken, if you were in the electrical business, you'll understand this kind of thing. If I don't pay somebody as an employee and I say that they're a subcontractor, they are not insured under all the items that somebody would be as an employee, liability and whatnot. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to get into the legal end of that. But what that says to us is this individual works by themselves. Anybody else working on that job should be registered. We just have to decide what we're going to do about it, if anything. I don't think we can decide now, I just want to bring it up. Okay, anything else?
I got one question.
Joey?
I brought this up last month on the citations list. I think this one for 1610 Nichols to Carolyn Pikeman, unpaid building citation from 8/4/2022. I think that's a mistake.
It is a mistake.
And I think we should go around to it all.
You know what? I'll have to get with Mark and Renee because they're the ones that do this. Okay, anything else? Any public comment? There's no.
Hi, it's Anita Ramages. I had a public comment.
Hi, Anita.
Anita Ramages, 2300 Florimond. One, thank you for your continuing efforts to uphold ordinances. Very much appreciated. Two, I agree with Chris. He's mentioned a few times about education of homeowners and contractors regarding the need for permits. Again, I do hear from people like, well, I didn't want to pull a permit or I don't have to. And I think the more you educate people, even though they may say, I didn't know, you can at least point to the education. And the third thing, talking about contractors, we're about 6 weeks into 2023. I guess I'm just curious if contractors are reminded, if that's something that's in the new software where they get a reminder that it's a new year, they have to re-register. Or, I mean, it makes sense for some, maybe they just say they wait until they get a job here and then they come in and register and pay the fee. And some may just forget. So I guess that was just a question I had, if that's anything that would be helpful in the new software. So thank you again for all your time.
Thanks, Anita. The town, as well as most other smaller towns and even larger towns, send out notices to contractors to re-register. We'd like to get away from that. It is part of the new software, and that would be automatic. So if somebody's bond is expired, normally registrations are calendar year. But most of the time, contractors' individual insurance policies and bonds are not calendar year, so they would expire. I'll use me as an example. Our insurance year starts on March 1st. So my policies with the town expire on March 1st, and my insurance agents would send the town an update. Some companies don't do that. So the software would automatically generate 30 days before that expiration of a bond or insurance, would generate an email to that particular contractor that would notify them that their insurance is expiring and they need to update it. And it will also send out notices to everybody that they have to register for the next year. Okay, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in
Second
favor?
that.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Anita.
Thank you, guys.